Hello, welcome to the training webinar for this week. I'm Dale Franks. We continue this week with our series on unified approvals. So far in this series, we've done a couple of things. The first thing that we did is that we created a form, or rather a form template, that was designed to, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble finding out where my mouse pointer is. It's the trouble with having two monitors. So we created a form template, and the purpose of this form template was to give us a base for any kind of request that we wanted to create. It is a tabbed form. One of the tabs is the Details tab. And with this Details tab, we can add any custom fields that we need to this form in this one tab. So it makes the process of form design, should we need to design multiple forms, much easier. Because we have a form template that looks like this, we can export it and re-import it into a forms folder. It gives us a couple of different options for how these forms should work. We can have a generic form where all of the functions like accounting, IT, and HR, and all of the individual process types can be selected by the user. Or we can go sort of up a level in our overview of what we're looking at, and we can go up a level to a specific function type. So for example, in this case, we have an accounting services form. And what we have on the bottom is our function field, which is in this hidden status field section. We've set the default value for this for AC. And so now we don't need to fill that out as an end user. Our end users just need to select the process that we'll be using within the accounting domain. So could be an expense report or a travel reimbursement report or a purchase order, something like that. But it would all be accounting services. We can even get more detailed and have a specific form like a purchase request form where we know it's going to be accounting, we know it's going to be a purchase request, and we know who the process manager is going to be. So we can now hide all of those fields inside this hidden section, and all we really have to worry about are the details, including, because this is a purchase request, the total amount. The magic of having all of these different forms and our ability to determine what the user will fill out and what we would like to fill out automatically simply by setting the field, the default value properties on all of these items, is that we're going to use a single process timeline for everything. Now, this process timeline is relatively simple. We'd obviously probably have a much more complex process timeline, but in general, each of our functions, accounting, IT, facilities, and HR, each of our functions have their own approval processes that they would have to go through. It is true that some approval processes are going to need a very specific process timeline. Some approval processes may be complex, such as regulatory approvals. Wouldn't be able to handle that in a single process timeline to handle all of your requests. But there are many different types of requests for different functions in the organization where the approvals are relatively standard and relatively straightforward. And with that in mind, we can at least create a unified approval system that handles all of our routine requests that go through, such as requests for information or IT services, or standard HR requests like taking leave or filing a complaint or what have you. We can handle all of those within a single process. All we have to do is just create the appropriate form with the appropriate customizations based off of our form template. So we've done all that. We've got all that set up so far. Now we need to talk about two things. Number one, the email template that we are going to use to send to end users, and how we're going to report on this via knowledge use. The final two subjects for this particular series. I did create an email template. We'll start there. Since I already have the simple items already placed on this email template. This is the bare minimum of an email template that I would want to send for a task notification. However, the template is there. It is set up for task notifications. We would probably want to make it a little more specific than this. So we might want to add some different fields. So one of the reasons why I opened up a separate window was so that I could go into it and I could grab field names and copy and paste them across. Probably be doing a lot of copying and pasting here so that you don't actually have to watch me do all of this simply by typing manually. What am I looking for here? I am looking for webinar. That's what I'm looking for. And then I'm looking for the templates in webinar. And here's my UAP form template. We'll just go to the form controls tab to find the items that we want. There is one field, this field here, narrative, where the user describes what their request is going to be on the form. I would probably want to add that into my email template. So we would just go down here and add request narrative. And I can just use the form field system variable. And we're going to be using the form field system variable for a lot of things. Why is this a link? I don't want it to be a link. I just want it to be text. There we go. Control Shift V will fix that. And I'll go ahead and boldface this. Now, one of the things about our template, because we have many different forms, we have to ensure that we use form field system variables for everything. Now, that would normally be true in an email template anyway, but it's especially true in this case, and especially when we have an issue with having some forms that have custom fields and some forms that don't. So, for example, if we go back and look at our purchase request. So let's go to forms and let's go to our purchase request form. We have a field called total amount that only exists on this form because it is a custom form. Okay, well, that's fine. We can certainly have that, but I'm going to need to add this perhaps to my email notification. So for a purchase request, I am going to need to check to see what the type is of a purchase request. So on our purchase request form, I'm going to need to open it up here so I can go down, look at my process. Now we've set the process via its field properties to purchase request, PR. So for a purchase request, I'm going to want to show a custom field to the recipient of the email. I'm not going to want to show it if it's not a purchase request. So I'm going to need a hidden section or an embedded section in my email template that only displays if the process type is a PR. So I'm going to add, and this is where customization of your email template becomes important, because the narrative, every request is going to have a narrative. That is a common field that I know is going to be on every request. The total amount is not. So I have to customize my email to only show the total amount field whenever it's appropriate to do so. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add an embedded section, and I'm just going to call it section PR total. Going to need to name it that because it's going to be important in a few minutes. We'll get to that. But I need section PR total. Note that I'm starting it right at the very end of the request narrative line, because now I'm going to put in my space. Now, the reason why I've thrown my section control where it is because if this field doesn't appear, I don't want that space that I just entered to appear either. So I'm placing it up here so that this extra space will not appear on my email template. So the placement of section controls can be quite important. Second, I've got to set up the visibility for this section. Remember, we only want it to show up if it's a purchase request. So I'm going to need to go to field properties, and I'm going to set field is visible when, and you could do this field is hidden when, but I think in this case, we only have a special circumstance where we want the field visible. So I'm going to choose the field is visible when condition. And we'll click there, we'll create that condition. And our condition, once again, we're going to have to use the form field system variable to make this work. Remember, when the process runs, and this will have a lot of relevance for knowledge views in just a few minutes. When this form runs, I need to be able to identify fields, but I'm not really connected to a specific form. I'm only connected to the process. That's fine, because when the form is submitted, whatever form it is, we have 3 currently, whatever form it is, it's going to be attached to the form. So as long as I know what the form field name is, I can use that form field name in conditions as long as I evaluate it as a system variable. That's one of the things that makes system variables so powerful in a system like the one that we've constructed here, is that I can just use that form field system variable, and based on what form is attached, I'm going to get the appropriate value every time. So I am going to evaluate the value of the total amount, or I'm sorry, of the process field. So we have the process. We know that because this is a purchase request, that the value of the process field should be PR. And I do need to choose equals. There we go. We'll add that condition. Oh, I didn't want to add a condition. I just wanted to hit OK. So let me get rid of that new one. Let's hit OK. And so now this field, this section control, is going to be visible only when process equals PR. Otherwise, this field is going to be hidden. And that's perfectly fine, because we'll put our total amount text in there. And then, of course, we'll put in the system variable for the total amount field. And once we've done that, we can go back and add our embedded section end. That will close that section out. And I will hit Control B there to boldface it. And now I've got a more detailed notification. In the interest of time, I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time going through every possible notification that we can have and every field that you want to add. But the basic point I'm trying to make here is that if I have a common field that I know is on every form, I can just place it on my email template. If I am sending out an email for one of the more customized forms, then the way to do that is to create these little embedded sections and only have that particular section display whenever it's will not deselect that embedded section end. That's what I wanted to do. And all I need to do is put in uh, the appropriate process type to only show those fields when that process is running. Now, I could, if I had more unique fields, I don't. I only created one on the purchase request form. I might have a whole series of these embedded sections, all of which would only show whenever I was in the appropriate process type. The second thing I need to do, and it's something that I don't have yet, is I need to be able to send a final disposition notification. That is the last step in my process where I tell the user, the end user, what it is that has been done with their request and whether it's been approved or denied. That means I'm going to need a new section to my email. So I'm going to need to, as always, when we have multiple notifications, I am going to have to ensure that in each section, I only have that these sections have a condition that makes them mutually exclusive. So I can't have both messages showing at the same time. So in this case, this is my task notification. I have a couple of different methods for setting it up. I believe on the original form, actually, I don't believe on the original form. I don't remember what it was that I did on my original email template. So we'll go into templates and we'll grab this email template and I will look at what I did. So yes, I did it via the email type, which is probably the best way of doing it. I need to have this field visible when, and otherwise hidden except for this condition. Now, one of the nice things about email notifications is that I actually have an email type variable that in this case, as you can see, because it's an email template, it shows up as the default condition type. So that makes my life a little easier. I want the email type to equal task assigned. So this email is only going to go out with these items here whenever the task has been assigned. Now, there is an alternate way of setting up email templates. Most of the time, when we talk about email templates, we have a separate email data control in each section. I'm going to keep that here because I have explicitly titled this section of the email task assignment, and I'm pulling the activity running name and then passing in the request number. So I do need, because my subject is going to be unique, especially because it is specifically a task assignment, I'm going to need this section is going to need its own email data control. It's not necessarily true that you need to do it that way. I can still have multiple sections on my email, and they would still need to have, mutually exclusive conditions to determine when they show and hide. But I don't necessarily need to have each section with its own email data control. I mean, I could just put a single email data control at the bottom of my email or the top of my email, wherever I wanted to put it. Probably the bottom is best for spacing reasons because you don't want to have, email templates don't have or email data controls don't have a visual representation on the page. If you place them at the very top, they'll just be an extra blank line at the top, which can look a little wonky. That aside, I can have still multiple sections, each of which have mutually exclusive conditions. but I don't necessarily need to have multiple email data controls. I can have just one on the bottom of the form. Now, if I do, I can't have a subject like that because this assumes that there is an activity running and it also is hard coded to say task assignment. I would have to say something like email notification for request number, and that would just be my generic subject. I could do that. That's one way to go. We're going to go with the way we usually do by having our own email data controls. So I have a lot of options for the the notification to my end user. And one of the things that I did on the other email is I just had this item here. Now, this was a different timeline, so I can't completely replicate this, but I can add this section here that will run on the disposition notification for the end user. So I am actually going to do something very similar to what I've done here. I can't really copy and paste it directly because, well, the field names are different and also all of the activity names are different. But I do have it prepared to copy in a text file. So we're going to replicate something like this. And what we're doing is for this notification, we're going to show the end user or the submitter, we're going to show them who looked at each step of this process, what their final result was, whether they approved it or denied it. Hopefully it's approved, obviously, and any comments that they made while they approved or denied it. So we're going to take this and make a very similar section on our template over here. So we're going to add our second section. Now, once again, we are going to add our section control right here, butted up, right up next to the end section for the previous embedded section. And we'll just call this section disposition. And for this section, this is where we're going to notify the user what happened. So first of all, we got to give them some introductory text. So we'll say your request, and then we'll put in the request number, which fortunately I have. So your request has been completed. We're not going to say that it was approved. We're not going to say that it was failed. We're going to say that it's been completed. But we are going to give a large amount of information to that end user to be able to see what happened at each stage in the process. So we're going to use that as our introductory sentence, and we're throwing in the request number there. And now I can go and notify the user of their, okay, I got all mixed up here. I edited from the wrong screen. That is my fault. So I am going to copy, or I'm going to try to copy just this bit right here. And I'm going to go X, and I actually want to keep this one looking at that email template. This is the email template we're currently editing. We're going to paste that in there like that. We should be golden. So what I want to do is, as I did on my original email template that we looked at all the way back in week 1, is I want to be able to keep them updated on all of these activities. So I do need to tell them who has done what. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this is going to run for every activity, I'm just going to copy this supervisor approval activity. I did indeed call it supervisor approval. So we'll go back to the one that we're editing here, and we'll go with supervisor approval. There's a lot of different ways that I could format this. Uh, I'm just going to show the following items, however. First, I'm going to use the activity user's complete system variable for the supervisor approval activity. This system variable will return the name of the person who approved at the supervisor approval step. So it's just going to return their name. That is the default for any user system variable, to return the name by default, as we've discussed previously in this series. Then I'm going to have a space and a little dash and another space. And then I'm going to provide the actual activity result for the supervisor approval. So if I was the supervisor approver, this line would say supervisor approval, colon space, Dale Franks, space dash space, approve or deny, whichever one that I chose. Then on the second line, and once again, going back to the activity user's complete system variable, and I'm using the supervisor approval activity, but I'm throwing in the comments formatter. So this system variable will return any of the signature comments I made when I approved or denied. And this will show up as the second line of the little supervisor approval bit that I've created here for that activity. Now, I'm going to want to follow this sort of format all the way through. But remember, supervisor approval is an activity that will always happen. I'm always going to go to supervisor approval. I'm also always going to have a process manager review. So I know that that's going to always occur. All of the other activities, and I have several of them, and I'm not going to attempt to configure all of them here. That would take a lot of time, and it's unnecessary to completely repeat the steps. But look at all of the different approvals I have between supervisor approval and process manager review. I've got AR and AP approval, activities that are only going to run if this is an accounting request. Also, finance director approval. These are all accounting requests. These activities are only going to run if I am running in an IT request. And the same is true for facilities and for HR. Even more interesting is what happens here with the accounting stuff, because this is where I've done all of my customization, right? So for some requests, AR approval, accounts receivable, will never run, while for other requests, accounts payable approval will never run. So if I'm getting paid, it's an accounting request where I am paying something. So for example, I have broken a company computer. I dropped my laptop and I broke it. And the company says, you're going to have to pay us back. I'm going to have to reimburse the company for equipment that I have broken or lost. Okay, that's going to go to accounts approvable. Accounts payable doesn't care. They're not going to have that activity. And so this activity is not going to run. Only the accounts receivable will run. And that's true for every activity. One, but not both of these activities, in most cases, are going to run. Finance director is rarely going to run, and it's only going to run if I have, as we configured, I believe last week, finance director approval is only going to run if the total amount is more than $10. If it's not, I'm sorry, $10,000. If it's not $10,000, the finance director doesn't need to approve it directly. So this activity is rarely going to run. Now, I didn't make any of those same configurations for any of my IT or facilities or HR functions, but presumably the same thing is going to happen there. If I need some sort of software services, that needs to go through IS. If I need some sort of equipment, that's going to run through IT. And the same examples or similar examples would apply for facilities or HR requests. So this is where all of my customization just happens to be in this sample project. But the things that I need to do for this to work properly is I am going to have to set the appropriate conditions for whether or not I want to show these activities. And so just as I did up here with my total amount, where there's really only one form that even has a total amount field, and I had to create this special section up here just to show the total amount field, which is going to be hidden anytime that it is, in this case, not a purchasing request. I'm going to have to do something similar down here if I want to report on the person who participated, what they did, and any comments they made on these activities. So I need to create similar sections for my, in this particular case, my AP approval, AR approval, and finance director approval activities so that they only show up whenever those activities actually ran. I have a couple of different ways of doing this. And I don't think there's time to show you both of them because we are going to have to get to knowledge views. So I have two choices. One, I can nest these embedded sections. Happily, embedded sections can be nested. So what I might want to have is an HR section, an IT section, and an accounting section. In this case, we're just going to do accounting. That will only show if I am running in an accounting activity. Then I'm going to need a nested section that will show if I'm running the purchase request or if I'm running the uh, vendor payment or one of the other functions. Alternatively, I could skip the function deal and just have a set of sections that are just like co-equal sister sections right next to each other, but that would have a more complex set of conditions. I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do this. In terms of understanding how this form works, and all email templates are in fact forms, at least until the email is created out of them, it's probably more comprehensible to uh, to have the individual activities inside their own sections and not nest the sections. But I certainly could do that section nesting thing. Maybe I should show you both ways, but at least let me demonstrate what I'm talking about for nesting sections. So I can go to the layout here and I can embed this first section, and we'll just call this section accounting results. And I am going to set the field properties for this with a field is visible when, and it's only going to be visible when, and now I don't want email type. Now we're going to have to evaluate some fields. So once again, that means we have to use a system variable. Every request is going to have a function and a process field. So in this case, I have the function field, and I want the function to equal AC. That is accounting. So my function equals AC. I'm going to set this to be otherwise hidden. So now I have a section, and I'm actually going to put a space here, and I'm going to add the embedded section end so that I know where my accounting section ends. So I'm going to go right back up here. And now that I have a section that will only appear whenever the function equals AC for accounting, now I can put all of my accounting results inside this section. So I'm going to go ahead and put in my break character here, well, actually a paragraph here. And now I need to take this supervisor approval and we'll have to go with AP approval. So excuse me, I'm going to do some copying and pasting here. Well, actually, before I do that, I need the other section. I need to nest the section. So let's go ahead and create this section that I need to nest before I copy and paste the results. I'm basically going to replicate this for every activity. But I do need that section here. So let's say I have a special section. So we'll go with layout, embedded section, and this we will call section PR for our purchase request activity. So this is only going to show up. We'll go again to our field properties. We'll go once again to field is visible when, and we'll click otherwise hidden because it's convenient to do so before we create the condition. We will add our condition and we are going to check to see whether our process string is what I want. So we're going to check to see whether our process equals PR, just as we did in the previous section. Great. So now this section will only show up if we're in the purchase request process. So I'm going to come back over here and copy, copy, copy. And I'm going to paste this right here like this. And this is not going to be supervisor approval. This is going to be AP approval. So I am just going to replace supervisor with AP. And I am going to format this properly. So we'll boldface this. And now the activity we're looking at is AP approval. And fortunately, I gave all of my activities very similar names, which makes updating this much easier. AP approval. So once again, we're doing exactly the same thing that we did with supervisor approval. We're pulling the name of the user, what result they chose, and then in the next line, any comments that they made when they completed their activity. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and put my embedded section end. And of course, I also have the AR approval. So I'm going to need to have a separate section for the AR approval as well. So we're going to go ahead and add our embedded section. We'll just call this section AR. And once again, we're going to have to set our field properties. Now, so far what I've done has been very simple, right? Whenever I set up the purchase request one, which actually is the one that has our total amount, I did it really simply. I said function equals AC, but life ain't that simple because, well, that's for accounting. Life is that simple. This is the one I need, AP approval, where I had the process equals PR. That's only one of the processes that might go to the AP approval step. If we go back and look at all of the different data that we have, and we could just go ahead and pull our processes. So let me throw AC as the function there. Okay, so I have a disbursement request. That's obviously an AR thing, or that's account, I'm sorry, payable. So that's an AP thing. Expense report, that's probably an AP, that AR or AP? I think that's, I'm not paying, they're paying me. So that would be AP, accounts payable, purchase order, accounts payable, travel request, accounts payable. Okay. So in this case, vendor payment, which has the process code of VP, this is the only one that goes to accounts receivable. In the real world, this would, I would have more than one AR function. Uh, so if we're looking at our AP, what I really need is a much more complex set of conditions. So I do need to have the DR, EX, PO, and TR processes accounted for in this condition set. So I'm probably going to need a lot of OR conditions that are going to have to be configured largely in the same way. I'm going to have to go use the system variable. I'm going to have to evaluate the value of the process field. And I'm going to have to put the appropriate code there. So now I know that the the accounts payable process is going to run if it is a PR, a PO, and obviously I would just continue this. I would add additional conditions to ensure that everything that went to accounts payable, every process that was an accounts payable process was accounted for here. So in this particular case, I would need one, two, three, four, five different elements or conditions on the evaluation to determine whether or not this shows. The more I think about it, I'm not entirely sure that I need, in this particular use case, I'm not entirely sure I need this outer section that just it shows up all of these items if I'm in the accounting function and hides them all if I'm not. I think I could probably get away without doing it here. However, there, and the only reason that I could get away with this here, and all I really need are these section controls I'm doing for each of the individual objects, is because uh, AP approval, AR approval, and finance director approval, in the way that I've pretty much got it set up, would generally not run. One of these, maybe two of these will run with this configuration if I had it fully configured. So I don't have a situation here where I have a generic accounting approval that will run in every activity. If I did, and in point of fact, I do. So even this configuration that I've made is only going to work if I do specific things on the form, like I specifically choose a purchase request, then I'll see the AP approval. I guess I could do it with a purchase order too, since I've just added both of those in. So I'm gonna have to, when I submit the form, I'm gonna have to do specific things to make this stuff work. But in this particular case, I don't have any activities that I know are always going to run. So if I did, then I would need this outer section, because this outer section handles the entire accounting thing. So if I have an accounting activity that I know is going to run no matter what the accounting request is, I mean, I could throw in one, let's call it analyst review. So whether it's a purchase request or whether it is a payment from a vendor, it doesn't matter. Some financial analyst is going to have to review it. So there might be a step that has to run in every single accounting process. I do not have such a step. All of my steps technically are unique. And so I'm going to have unique conditions for them. But if I just had an activity that was just a generic accounting activity, and I have two or three of them that might run for every single accounting activity, whether I was paying money or whether I was receiving money, then this outer section here that shows or hides the accounting section as a whole, that would be worthwhile because I know that it contains activities that will always run. As it happens, the way that I've got it configured, everything is special, so everything doesn't always run. So, for example, my AR approval activity, that's only going to run when the activity type is VP. So that's the only condition that I have where that will run. So we'll set field as visible when, and we'll add our condition. Our email type is not what we want. We want string. And once again, we're going to evaluate the process field, and we want to ensure that the process field equals VP and otherwise hidden. All right, great. So now we have those two sections. And so now I can add my AR approval section of the email template. I am about to stop configuring the templates because at this point, everything I do is just going to be a repeat of what I did before. So let's add our embedded section end there. We now have this section, which is AR approval. I'm just going to boldface that. And now I'm going to replace supervisor with AR in every step. And I'm not even going to do this again for my finance director approval. I think we've got enough here to see how things will work whenever all this customized stuff runs. So I think we're fine with that. There is one more thing, though, that we do have to talk about. And now that I have done that, by the way, I don't need this extra line break down here. So I'm just going to tuck that embedded section in control, which should match up if I've done everything correctly with the section for accounting. That's going to line up, and I've got everything that I need there. There is one potential problem in terms of readability for this email, and that is with my ad hoc approvals. So I'm going to save what I've done so far. And let's go back here to our process timeline and take a look at it. So here are my ad hoc approvals, or this is my ad hoc approval step. Now, this step is assigned participants via system variable, and it is a form field system variable. I am pulling it out of the ad hoc approvers form field. Now, remember, the ad hoc approvers is a array, which means it can contain more than one item. So if we go and look at, well, any of our forms where we have a form instance, and we go to the approvers tab, I didn't add any ad hoc approvers here. So, okay, fine. But I can add multiple ad hoc approvers. So I could have 3, 4, or 5 approvers for this activity. The way that I have the timeline configured for this activity, and we'll go back here to ad hoc approvals. So I can have 5 participants, or I can have n number of participants. It's an array. I can add 30 if I want. However, my completed when uses the default that this activity is completed when the first user completes activity, which means even if I assign 30 people as ad hoc approvers, the way it's configured now, and I did this purposefully, and we demonstrated it in whenever we ran our processes. With this configuration, no matter how many ad hoc approvers I choose, only one is ever really going to have to complete it. If one person completes their task as an ad hoc approver, this activity ends. So this is not problematic. This will work just fine. However, if I switch this to all users have completed activity, that's going to cause me a problem as far as readability goes on my email template, because there's going to be an array of completed users that gets returned. In every other activity, we only have a single user assigned. But when we get to our ad hoc activity, and technically I should also create a section for this because you might not have ad hoc users, but I think I've made the section point enough, and it's also 10:51, so we got to move on. So I'm just going to throw in my supervisor approval, and I don't remember what it is. In fact, ad hoc approvals. Great. Oh, it's ad hoc approvals. All right. I need to copy the whole thing. I can't just replace one word now. So this is ad hoc approvals. And of course, I am going to boldface that. And so I'm going to replace it in all of these so that we can see what the results, comments, and participants are for ad hoc approvals. But what is going to happen here? It's going to be a little confusing. What the text of the email will look like will be something like this if we have reset to allow every ad hoc approver has to participate and complete. In other words, every ad hoc approver is a mandatory approver. So let's just say it's me and Diana, right? Let's take a look at what this is going to look like in the real world. What the user is going to see in text is and let's say we both approve it. And then so what are we looking at here? Well, this should be bold-faced, but Visual Studio Code doesn't boldface, so that's right out. But what the text is going to say for supervisor approval is Dale Franks, comma, Diana Stewart. Approve, comma, approve. This all looks fine, comma, I'm happy to approve this. This is going to get hard to read. This is only with 2 people. What if I have 30 approvers? I might want to, oh, and this should say ad hoc approvals instead of supervisor approval. So this is going to get really hard for your user to use if I've got like 5 different approvers, 10 different approvers, all of which have been added as ad hoc approvers, because everything that gets returned by this system variable is going to get returned in an array, in a comma separated list. And all of this stuff is going to run together really quickly. My solution for this, which is not really a solution, it was a convenience, was to set my activity so that, well, I didn't actually set it. I just kept the default, which is this activity will end when the first user completes the activity. With that setting, it doesn't matter. There's only one user that's ever going to complete the activity, even if I assign 30, in which case none of this matters because it's always going to be one user, and I'm not going to have all of these comma separated lists showing up. But the second I switch to this, I am going to get multiple users and I am going to get these comma separated lists. So the method for handling that would probably just be to ignore the ad hoc approvals, I think. There are ways that you can make this work because comma separated strings, they are indexed. They do have an index. So it is possible for your ad hoc approvers. So let's say that this was returning an index. It didn't, but let me just copy it and go down here and say this is returning an index. So my activity users complete, supervisor approval. It's going to return a whole list of users. So I do have, and let's go into our documentation so that I can show it to you. If we go to the system variable parameters page, so we're going to implementation, system variables, and system variable parameters. Well, let me just expand all of this so that I can see everything all at one time. I do have the ability to use the index of modifier and to do a substring. So I have the ability to do a lot of string manipulation to uh, both with pattern and replace and using the index of modifier. I can actually go to each of those. I can find where each of those commas are, and I can pull back and do a pattern and replace. So that works. I also, I believe there is a way to do an index for this. And I want to check. I don't remember where it is. I know it's in the documentation somewhere. And I know it's in the system variable documentation, but I don't know exactly where it is. And I'm going to expand all of these as well so that I can see it. But I'm actually looking for, all right, I've forgotten it off of the top of my head. You may have to remind me later to pull it to show you, but I'm seeing the tyranny of time, so I need to wrap up this email template. But I believe there is a way to pull back the index in a system variable. Generally, and I'm trying specifically to remember whether it applies to this. Generally, whenever you have an array, you can just pull the index of the array. And arrays, by the way, are indexed at 0. So 0 is the first one. Usually, if you have an array, there is an index where you can just hit :0, :1, :2, :3, and it pulls back the item in the list. And I don't remember right offhand whether it works with this or not. This would be something that we would have to investigate. Um, and I'll look into it if you're interested. If you know how to do it, hey, tell me. If you don't know how to do it, then fine. We'll look at it. I'll look at it a bit later. But I know for arrays, it just escapes me off my head. I just know that usually for arrays, I can do the :0, :1, :2, and it pulls the index back off of that array. My assumption is that that would also work here with activity users complete that return a comma separated list, but that may not be true. I may actually have to find the index of the commas, and I may have to do a, a, a search and replace just to find those indexes, and then copy the string and find substrings to pull out the separate substrings so that I don't end up with this. But the downside to that is, I mean, let's say that this works. I'm not saying that it does, but I know that for arrays, for array fields, that would work. I don't know how many ad hoc approvers that you're going to add. So the ad hoc approvals item on your email template is going to be problematic. You can either try to have multiple ad hoc approver lines where you just try to index them. But if you don't know how many there are going to be, I'm not entirely sure how that would work. There might be a way to do this via a table, but this gets super complex. And so I don't really have the time to do troubleshooting and to go through all of the different things that I would need to do, because I do want to wrap up unified approvals this week. And we only got an hour left, and we haven't even talked about knowledge use. Although I think that knowledge use section is going to be fairly short. So there are still questions as to how we want to handle that ad hoc approvers. The way that I have it set up is it's only going to pull back the very first ad hoc approver, because only one is ever going to complete. So this should work just fine. And I'm just going to leave it here. It's always going to show. Normally I would throw in a section so that if there were no activity users complete returned, I just simply wouldn't show this. It'd be in its own section. But all we've done for the past hour is throw in sections. I think I'm done throwing that. I think I've beaten that equine enough. So I want to go back to my original email template, because I think I had another line there. I may be wrong. No, I just had the process manager review, but that's fine. I think we're good as far as it goes. I did have this email data control. I'm going to go ahead. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and copy it. We'll copy it and we'll paste it back over here in our form. Go down to the next line. We'll go copy there. I'm going to have to change something because it's not called process name in this iteration. It is called process. And this is request complete, and activity running name is there because the activity is submitter or disposition notification. So it'll be request complete. I have process. Let's do this. We have our request number. Let's just show that. So this will be request number, whatever it is, complete. And then it'll have our process. I don't think I need the process if I'm going to do request number. So we'll just go request number complete, and disposition notification will be the activity running name. I probably could have just hard-coded disposition notification in here in text. I didn't really have to use the system variable. Now I'm just showing off. Okay, so the last thing that we need here is our embedded section end. And so now I have two sections that will send two different emails. So I'll get one email for task notifications and then one email for my final disposition. So with all of this said, let's go ahead and save and test our email template as is, and then we'll move on to knowledge views and how knowledge views work when you have a setup like this unified approval system. So we're just going to test something. Let's throw in on, I was just doing accounting services form. I don't even need to open it up in design view. I just need to run it. So we'll run it. And for this one, let's select vendor payment, and I'll put myself in as the supervisor. I want to be sure that everything goes to me. On my details, I need to add a narrative. And I'll add an ad hoc approver. I'll add me as an ad hoc approver. And we'll just turn on the routing slip. Well, we'll go to the routing tab so that when we submit the form, we can just sort of see the routing slip run. So the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to go to supervisor approval, which means that I am going to receive this email. Oh no, I should not be seeing this. My request BP-003 has been completed. That's not good. I have a problem with my email. So you know what? I'm going to deny this request. Let's go back to my email template. Actually, I don't even need to go into the design view. I can just go into form controls. So I've got task assignment section. That field is visible when email type is task assigned. So where is my section disposition? Oh, whatever it is, I did not save any sort of visibility condition for my disposition section. Well, I certainly need to do that. So this field will be visible when and only when my running activity, timeline activity, running activity name is, well, let's say contains disposition. I don't remember the exact name. Otherwise hidden. Okay. The actual timeline activity name submitter notification. Well, you know what? Since it's called submitter notification, I'm just going to copy that, go back to my email template. I put in entirely the wrong condition. So we'll go back to section disposition, and I didn't save it. So field is visible when otherwise hidden. Click to create condition, and timeline activity, running activity name equals, and we're going to use the string here for submitter notification. Oops. Normally, I would have a form that's associated with a timeline. Unfortunately, this is an email template. Email templates are not associated with a timeline. Thus, this very convenient timeline activity dropdown, which should give me the name of a, process timeline activity, doesn't work. It wants to know what a timeline definition is before it gives me the activity. So unfortunately, that is not working for us in an email template. Hence, my use of the string and just type in submitter notification. Actually, the ability to do the timeline activity thing is relatively new. That's a version 6 thing, because prior to that, you had to just use the name and you had to do the text matching. Well, we haven't taken that away. Unfortunately for us, because we're in an email template, I can still use that. I can still apply that submitter notification. I suppose it's also possible for, uh, well, it may not actually be possible for me to do this, but we're going to set that. We're going to update to be sure that I have my mutually exclusive conditions set properly there. See, in an email template, I don't have the ability to associate the form with a process timeline. So normally in a form, I would pick my process timeline on the associate form with process timeline property, and I would be able to just select the timeline activity. Email templates, I don't have that option. So therefore, I have to use the string in the email template. So basically, email templates are very, very system variable slash string based in determining whatever it is that we see at any given time. All right. So with that in mind, and do I still have my form open? No, I do not. I closed it. So, oh, I denied the activity. That's why. So it was done. Um, and I did receive a submitter notification, which is fine because it wasn't uh, a a task assignment email. It hid the first section of the email. My problem was I never did hide the second section of the email. So this is what we got. We got Dale Franks deny, and I did not put in a comment when I denied it. I think I may have neglected to make signature comments necessary for deny. I should have, but I didn't. I think in this case, I must have missed it. So I didn't put in a comment. Because I didn't put in a comment, what I get is my name on the comment line. So supervisor approval, Dale Franks dash deny. That's correct. And I didn't put in a comment. So it's just going to return Dale Franks on the second line, which also is correct. So this email was correct whenever I denied the request. So let's give her another shot. We will go back and, oh, nope, 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 nope. Whatever we do, don't forget to save. So let's go back to our forms and we'll try that one more time. So we'll run it again. Again, we'll do a vendor payment. I'll put myself in as the user, and there's my request details. I'm not going to add any ad hoc approvers. Well, yeah, let me just add myself just so that we can see it on the email template. And go to the routing slip, which will not show until we submit the form. There we go. Now I'm in the supervisor approver activity. And even though I said it's required for resubmit or deny, I didn't set it up that way, unfortunately. But that's fine. You should set it up that way so that you require signature comments. But I'll just say all good here, and I will approve this message. By the way, here is my supervisor um, approval. It's still showing me that section. So did I do it right? Did I save it or not? UAP form template, form controls. That's not the form template. That's not the email template. This is the one I want. So section disposition. Okay. What happened to my condition? I did something wrong, apparently. Um, Running activity name. equals submitter notification. Okay. 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 All right. So it went to AR approval, which is right, but unfortunately, I still have the your request has been completed here. So let's see if the fix that I just made to the form template affects when I approve this. And I've got some comments there. So we'll hit approval and it will now go to ad hoc approvals. So it goes back to me and I am temporizing here while I wait for my email template to show up. There we go. Now it's fixed. Finally, I got my appropriate item in here. Now remember, this is my AR approval. So I'm still seeing the narrative, but I don't see my purchase request. We'll have to submit an AP approval to see that. But now it looks like I've got my emails working fine. I've got two mutually exclusive sections, one for my final notification and one for my task assignments. And we'll approve that. And that will take me to process manager review. And we'll hit reviewed. And now we'll get our final disposition notification. So this was the disposition notification for process manager review. It looks good. It looks exactly the way that we want. And now I should receive in the fullness of time my notification for the final disposition right there. So VP 0004 complete. Submitter notification. That is my activity. Your request has been completed. Supervisor approval. Approve. All good here. And only ad hoc approvals appeared. It did not show my accounting thing. I'm going to have to go back here and section accounting results. Well, it would help if I used the correct system variable. I need to have a colon for function to read as a valid system variable. So I did not, in fact, receive the appropriate disposition notification, but that's okay. We're going to run it one more time. And this time we're going to run a purchase request. So I've got my generic purchase request form. So now I know that my template runs. We'll just go through my purchase request. Supervisor will be me. And note, I don't have the function or the process or even the process manager here because on this specific form, since it is a purchase request form, all of those fields are down here at the bottom in my hidden section control, which no one can see, but they already have their values set. So and the total amount will be $10,001. Probably should have formatted this as a currency field, shouldn't I have? But we're going to go ahead and submit this. Well, I'm going to get rid of some extra spaces here. Now we'll submit and we'll go through our process real quick. I am just going to throw in blank comments. So that's supervisor approval. And now here is AP approval. So this is accounts. Why is accounts payable running? Probably the way that I configured it. Oh, it's a purchase request. It would be accounts payable. That would be what ran. Finance director approval. It's more than $10,000. So finance director has to approve it. Great. That's working fine. Everything is doing what it's supposed to do. Now we get to process manager review, process manager reviews, and we hit OK. And I think what we're really interested in now is the final disposition notification, because all of my task notifications are working exactly the way that I expect them to work. They're working exactly as I configured them. And what I wanted was my submitter notification email, and it went off just fine. Now everything is working. So my supervisor approval, that worked. I am showing, obviously, accounting stuff because AP approval is showing. AP approval is in fact showing because it was a purchase request, so it goes to accounts payable. AR approval didn't run, and since AR approval didn't run and it was not an accounts receivable request, I should not see a line for accounts receivable. I did not put in a line for finance manager approval, so we wouldn't see anything there anyway. And then I have ad hoc approvals. Ad hoc approvals, I didn't add an ad hoc approver, so it shows up as not needed. So I have successfully configured my notifications to work for this process for every type of activity, and based on, and it's tedious and requires a lot of configuration, as we've spent an hour and 21 minutes doing, but it's possible to come up with very specific email templates within a single message simply by showing and hiding various embedded sections. And so now we have a working email template for our multifunctional cross-function request form. So there's one more thing we have to think about, and that is, how am I going to report on all of this stuff? It's actually pretty simple, although it is a bit of a change in how we're used to setting up K-views. So let's create a new folder. Folder, there it is. And we'll call it K-views. And let's create a new knowledge view. And for this one, we'll just call it all requests. The first thing that we're going to have to change in terms of pulling back data for this type of application setup is that normally what I would do, as we always say, we always return form instances in a knowledge view. And we only want to return, specific form instances. So in general, what we do when we open up a new knowledge view is we go to forms associated with knowledge view, and we find the form definition that we want to associate with the knowledge view. We can't do that here because we have multiple forms, all of which are associating themselves with the same process. So if I want to return multiple items, and there's 3 levels at which I might want to do this. I might want to return all accounting requests or all HR requests. I might want to do what I'm doing here, returning all requests. Ultimately, I might want to create a knowledge view that simply returns all purchase orders, all purchase requests, all vendor payments, all facilities, all IT requests, all IS requests. So I might want to get very granular. But picking the form is going to be hard. I mean, ultimately, I might have, 10 or 15 different forms, all of which are invoking the same process timeline. Aha! But they all invoke the same process timeline. So what I'm going to do on the Properties tab, instead of associating with a form definition, I'm going to associate it with the timeline definition. I'm going to associate it with the unified approval process. Now, everything else I do on the configure tab, which we're not even going to make any changes here, or on the options tab is going to remain the same, right? I still don't want to return case instances or timeline instances or workflow instances. I only want to return form instances. So now if I run this knowledge view, it is only going to return form instances that are associated with that particular process timeline. So I've got request NF01, NT01, ON, PR 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, VP, vendor payment 2 and 3 and 4. And well, I have these two. Um, I really need to get rid of those. These form instances shouldn't exist because this is the template form. So we're just going to go ahead and delete all of those form instances, go to our all requests knowledge view and update and run her again. And there we go. I should only have request forms. So this is going to return every single request anywhere in the system. I'm probably going to want to see some data from these requests. Once again, because now I don't know which of these three forms were used to submit these requests, because all of the forms have the same name format. The only difference is the request number for them. I could have put the process code. Well, I've already got that VP. I could have put the function code on here as well. I didn't. We'd have to play around with this more to get to some sort of idealized version of what this should be. But if I want to pull back form data, I mean, this knowledge view works and it opens up my form instances. I mean, it does all the things that it's supposed to do. But if I want to see form data, I'm going to have to attack that a little bit differently. Normally on the columns tab, and the columns and the filter tab is where all the work has to be done here. Normally, what I would do if I wanted to return form field data, for example, the narrative that the user is going to provide when they submit their request. So I'll have a column called narrative. And normally what I would do is I would go to form and form field, and I'd pick the form field, but I can't do that here. So what we're going to have to do is what we've been doing everywhere else in this application. We are going to have to use form field system variables to make all of this work. So once again, we're back to form string. And in this case, the field is, wow. Well, I know what the field name is. I just can't type what the field name is. So we're going to have to go with system variables for all of the field names that we're going to use on this form. So, um, so our function, and I'm just throwing in things at random. It could be anything, but the process manager, which I think is in fact process manager. I think that's the field name. Not entirely sure, but I think it's the field name. I can check real quick. Let's go to my form template. Is it process manager? It is process manager. I got it right. So I've got these three fields. Let's add one. Well, I don't have too many fields on this. Let's go with process. even though we know what the process is, but we'll get ourselves some form fields. Uh, Hello? Are we are we there? I'm not sure what happened. Don't see that very often. Let's try this again. Okay. I really don't know what's happening. Ah, fine. We'll just get rid of that field. Don't need it anyway. We have our fields. They're all specified via form field system variable. Now, we don't have to do that for the name because the object name is a common property that every object shares. So we're good with the name. And any other of the timeline properties we could also draw as well. For example, if we add a column um, running activity and time activity run. Now, any to use form field to make this work. These fields exist on every, so we can just go update and run. And now we can see where I added the narrative and where I didn't. We can see what function it. Uh, these are drop downs. So by default, it's returning the full name. None of these activities are running because all of them are completed. So nothing is showing up here. But this is fine as far as it goes. We can now pull all of the data that we want from the forms. We just have to be able to use system variables to do so. Now, what I have done is I have created an all requests form here. At this point, I can now just basically copy and paste this form or this timeline. It's whatever it is, it's a knowledge view. That's what it is. I can copy and paste this knowledge view and create more detailed versions of it. So we'll just copy and we'll copy it here. Now I have all request copy. Um, let's call this all um, all HR requests. And the only thing I'm going to change, I'm not going to change any of the columns here. The only thing I'm going to change is I'm going to add a filter where I will just say, uh, well, guess what? I don't have, it's on the right-hand side. Okay, this makes it a little more difficult because I have a string on the right-hand side. I don't have a string value on the left-hand side. So what I was gonna pull was some sort of string variable, but that doesn't work inside the knowledge use. So I can pull by, okay, well, I do have a quick and dirty way of doing it if I want to do it by metadata, but I don't have a method here to grab a specific value. As it happens, if it was a purchase request specifically, I could go back and just grab the purchase request form itself. So I could associate the purchase request form. But if it's an HR activity, I don't really have a direct filter to grab that. And I thought I did. I thought we had added a string to the left-hand side, although it may be something I saw in documentation, not here on the training server. Um, well, how would we solve this problem? I think the problem is very easily solvable because we can do things by metadata as well. The way that I set everything up in my system was to do it by form field. Unfortunately, that's not going to be available to me because I'm not associated with the form. Now, there are certain contexts where I could be. If it's a purchase request, I can actually create a knowledge view that just looks at the purchase request form. Everything is going to work fine. I don't really need to worry much about any of those fields. I can actually pull the form fields. I don't need to use the form field system variable. I have a straight up purchase request form. So I can create a knowledge view that just looks at the purchase request form and it would only return purchase requests. If it's a generic request or some sort of generic accounting request, um, I'm not going to be able to do that. I need to be able to specify uh, particular particular values. Now, if I if I can't use form fields in a knowledge view, which unfortunately I can't for any of these filters, I just don't have a value that I can grab. Well, I do, but I don't have a value that I have set that will make this work by default. We have, and I know because I created the Jira ticket for it, we have an option to put a system variable, basically, just a string system variable on the left side of the condition. But on this version that I have, it does not have that running. So I can't do it on the training server. I think I can do it on the documentation server, but I can't do it here. That's a problem. So what would I do as a fallback? Well, that's actually pretty easy to do. What I would need to do is to create the appropriate metadata and assign metadata. I really only need two metadata values to get assigned. I need the function and I need the process for each of those functions. Now, I know what those things are because I have a database that is filled with them. So in my case, what I would have to do, and I should do this on the form itself. Well, I need to create the metadata first. So what I need to do is go into metadata administration. And I actually have part of it done, department, HR, IT. Um, but so far I've called it function and process. So I can just create a category and I can call it function. And then I can create my subcategories of AC and HR. I don't think I created a subcategory. Function, create subcategory. Here we go, HR. and create subcategory IT. And then create subcategory. I forgot what that subcategory was. Was it FC or FA? I don't remember. We'll call it FA for right now for facilities. Now, for each of these, I would need to have a subcategory as well. So for accounting, I need my AP or sorry, PR subcategory. And I also need my PO subcategory. So we'll create a subcategory PO. And that vendor payment one. So I need a subcategory for that. So we'll just call that VP. Obviously, I should probably put in something like vendor payment at the bottom there. But now I now have, and I'd have to go and do the same thing with facilities and HR and IT so that I have my functions and then each of the processes that are associated with each one of these functions. So I can do this via metadata. That does require that I set the appropriate functions here. So for this particular form, I would need to go to the metadata tab and I would need to assign the appropriate metadata to that. So this would be function. The function is AC. This is a purchase request. So if I pick purchase request, it sets everything else. And I will add that metadata to all child items. And then I could go through and do this for all of my different forms. I would just have to set the metadata when I created the form itself. So just as whenever we went into this form, we imported the UAP form template, and then we moved the function and the process and process manager down to the status field section, which is hidden. And of course, we went in and we set the default values of these fields. What we would have to do in order to make this work the way that I want it to work is to go into the form itself, go into its metadata, and add the appropriate function for that form. Now, the nice thing about metadata is that I can add multiple functions to a form. I can't do that with the process dropdown and the function dropdown. That only allows me to pick one process and one function. Metadata, even though I think in most cases I would only pick one function for the form, with generic request, that might be a little bit different because my generic request might be, well, I might do a PR through the generic request. So with that one, I would need to be, a little more expansive in the metadata that I assign to it. I might have to assign it multiple functions or multiple processes. So, it might be both a PO and a PR for this form, and it would now appear for both PRs and POs. So metadata does give me a little bit more flexibility, although I can constrain it just as it's initially constrained with the form fields. But by setting that, what that allows me to do, if I go back into my all requests copy here, and let me go ahead and save these form definitions. So what I should be able to do now, I didn't rename this, so let's just call this PR requests. What this will allow me to do is in my filter is now use the metadata and I can now pick my category. I can go function is AC and this is a PR. And now it's only going to pull my PRs. So using metadata and assigning metadata in that way, I can just pull all of my PRs. Similarly, and this is now called PR requests. Let's make another copy of my all requests. I'll copy and copy it here. We'll open this up and we'll just call this, since almost all of my requests except for one are accounting, we'll just call this accounting requests. And again, the only thing I have to change is the condition. And in this case, we're just going to pick our function of accounting AC. And now if we run this knowledge view, it's going to pull, well, I guess I only have PRs here. It's going to pull all of those PR. I thought I put in a vendor payment though. Oh, I may not have set any metadata for my vendor payment. Let's go back to all requests. Well, update and run. So this is our human resources request. Everything else is accounting. So PR, PR, PR. I've got 3 vendor payments. So what I would do in this case, I'd go to the properties and I'd assign metadata. And this is a vendor payment. So VP. Great. I should do this for all of the vendor payments, but I can't do that for the parent form. So we're just going to go to the properties for each one of these. We're going to quickly assign metadata to all of these child objects. And one more. Properties, function, counting, VP. Okay, there we go. Okay. And so now I've got all requests. I've got counting requests, which will pull my PRs and my VPs, since those are the only accounting requests we have. Then I have PR requests, which are only going to pull my purchase reports, of which I have 4. I have one more request that is not even accounting. Obviously, it's a human resources request, so I would need to set a human resources metadata on this. So that would need to be set on the form. The other thing that I can do on the form is I can allow the users to set that metadata. So I've got different options for how I want that metadata applied. Metadata is always a good catch-all solution for anything because metadata applies across the entire permission. And I would probably say that we don't even think, I should have used metadata right from the very beginning. But you know, we so often don't think about it. We think about process director in terms of forms and form fields, but we don't think about it in terms of metadata. Metadata is super helpful, and it does enable you to come up with much more complex knowledge views because I can filter on multiple metadata categories. Metadata is super useful. We should probably talk about it more in both the training webinar and whenever we're thinking about building applications. We should be thinking about metadata more. All right, it is coming up on 10 minutes to, it's 10 minutes to 12. I guess that means it's time for me to shut up. I'm done for today. And with this final episode done, the Unified Approvals series is also done. Thank you for your attention today. Smaller crowd in this one than we usually have, but I am glad that you showed up and that you stuck with me. I do appreciate it. And I'll look forward to talking with you on Tuesday. Oh my goodness, new things coming to the product Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Feature Spotlight webinar. I'm going to be telling you about them. I've already got my outline done. I'm already raring to go. So If you can show up on Tuesday, we've got one super interesting thing that you're going to use a lot, and one that you might use if you're really, really into security. That's all on Tuesday. If you don't show up, well, then I guess I'll see you next Thursday. Have a great week. So long.